Hello, and welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, and always all of the yarny goodness that I love. A big welcome back to all returning viewers and subscribers. And if you're new, welcome. I hope you like what you see. And if you do, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. Today is Saturday, February 18th, I think, and this is episode 70. So 70 episodes, that's pretty good. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as cbcraftygirl, and we do have a group on Ravelry for the Carla Knits podcast, and we currently have a few make-alongs going on right now, so I will just share a little bit briefly about those. Excuse me. The first is the Love Your Stash 2023, which is a make-along which started January 1st and goes the entirety of this year. And the idea is to use your stash yarns, stash patterns, rules and everything, or guidelines, I guess, how to participate will be in the description down below. So everything I talk about should be linked down below. And if for some reason something is not answered, please feel free to reach out to me either through the comments or Ravelry message would be great. So using stash yarns, if you need to use new yarns to complete your project, that's fine. Should be mostly stash yarn, or you can use new yarn but a stash pattern. So there's lots of ways you can participate in this stash make along. There's a chatter thread, there's a finished object thread, and quarterly I will draw a winner from each thread for a pattern prize on Ravelry. So just talking a little bit about the finished object thread, I just wanted to highlight a couple makers who shared their finished object in that thread. So one is, let's see, Yarns of Music, and that is my friend Lois, and she finished the Slay All Day wrap. That is a new pattern that came out by Lofty Loops, Allison, and beautiful wrap. It looks like Lois completed it in 24 days. So it is just beautiful, Lois. The other one I wanted to show was by Val the Rizzle, and this is a test knit cowl that she made, and it's the Owl Nouveau cowl. I think I have that right. So really beautiful color work cowl. So those are just a couple things, lots of beautiful finished objects, lots of socks. You know, I'm a sock knitter, so I love seeing those. So fun to see how we're using our stash this year. The second make along is a blanket along, which again goes the entirety of this year. So the idea is to work on those blankets that you may have languishing around, like I do. Or maybe you want to start a new blanket. Maybe you have baby blankets to make. Maybe you have upcoming gifts to make. So anything goes in that blanket along. So chatter, you know, post what pattern you're making, you know, maybe what yarns you're using, what you're making the blanket for, how long you've been making it. And if you finish a blanket, hooray, you can post a picture twice. So that's for 2 entries in that thread. And again, I'll be periodically drawing a winner from that thread. The newest make along that started is a Love Note KAL, Love Note sweater KAL. The Love Note is a sweater pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I am co-hosting this knit along with Britnee of the TurtleBurger podcast. And so far, I think it's just her and I that are participating, and that's totally okay. But it's something that we have both wanted to make. She worked on a Love Note last year, and I think she's redoing hers, I think for some length. And then she's also pretty close probably to being done with one for her daughter, which is so sweet. But this started on February 14th, and goes through April 14th. So should be plenty of time to complete a love note. And I did confess this to Britnee, and I told her I would confess to all of you too, that I actually cheated and I started 2 days early. So I started on Sunday the 12th, just because I knew during the work week it's hard to cast new things on, and so and I was super anxious too. So I actually started it on Sunday the 12th. So later in this episode, I will share progress on that sweater. Oh, back to the blanket make along. I'm sorry, just briefly, I wanted to highlight a couple of blanket finishes in that thread. So I apologize for flipping back to that. But one was the anthology throw, which Yarn It Heidi completed. And that was an Advent project, just beautiful. And then a habitation throw by LMECOLL, Linda, on Ravelry. And both of those patterns, I believe, are by Helen Stewart. And Linda's is a beautiful rainbow habitation throw. So love seeing what's going on in all of the make-alongs in the podcast group. So hope you'll join us if you haven't already. All right, so into finished objects, but also I will start with what I am wearing. So I completed this cowl. This is the, let's see, One More Chapter Infinity Scarf by Melissa Fisher of Woods and Wool. She is a crochet pattern designer, and she was hosting a minis crochet along with using 3 of her patterns, which highlight minis. And so I chose to do the infinity scarf. I keep calling it a cowl, but infinity scarf. And I just have it looped once, kind of so you could see all of the colors. And hopefully, hopefully you can see it. But it's got a lot of pinks in it and some plummy colors and a few neutrals in there, but predominantly, you know, rosy pinks and mauves and purples and that. So I really like how it turned out. It was fun having a crochet project. It used 12 20-gram minis. So that's actually a lot of fingering weight yarn. It is fingering weight yarn. So if a 20-gram mini is approximately, we'll say 90 yards or 80 yards even, you know, times 12, that's a lot. That's a lot of yardage. So what is that? 80 times 12 would be, well, 80 times 10 would be 800. Yeah, so like 920, I think. I don't know math. Yeah, I'm not sure. But that's a lot of fingering weight yarn to go through. So that's over two full skeins, right? I have that right, I think. So it was a big project, and it, you know, it took me probably longer than I thought it would, but it was really fun to do. And I really love how it turned out. So I'm kind of missing a crochet project, or I was this week. So I started on something small. So I'll share that a little later. Last time I talked about some of the dyers on here. Primrose Yarn Company. This is Woolberry Fiber Company. Lolo Did It. Noble Character Crafts. I think those are the most notable on here. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the others are. Some, you know, random skeins from mini skeins from my stash, but I really am happy with how this turned out. So that is my first finished object. Excuse me a minute. All right, my second finished object is this pair of socks. And these are the So Simple Sport socks. And I want to say by Glenna, let me see. Glenna C. I guess that I have that right, just Glenna C. Last name initial. And let's see, I used words, I'm sorry. It's Madeline Tosh Work Sock, which is more of a sport weight, which I think this was more of a DK weight. Metal and Tosh, and it's in the Cosmic Silver colorway. And you can see that the cables mirror each other for a right and a left side. And I'll just share the back for the speckles, but really pretty speckled yarn. So these definitely, they feel just like my DK weight socks that I have knit before. So I really, and the numbers really were closer probably to a DK weight sock. So, and I think they fit more like DK weight socks do. So very happy with these. This was my project. Every night after dinner and after dishes are done, our cat Reese's, I always say she barks at me, but she meows at me. And so I have to come sit downstairs with her. That's where her food dish is. She likes to go graze a little bit there. So I have to sit down and I work on a project. And sometimes she'll sit on my lap afterwards. But this was the project I was working on a lot with Reese's, our cat. So that project is now complete. Yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to say about that one. And then I have a really big finished object, which I am so excited about and very excited to share. I finished my Granny Stripes blanket. So actually it did not need much work. This is where I was the last time I showed it. And so that was 6, about a dozen more rows to add the length. And I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to show it, but I will try just to go up slightly so you can see the different colors. Sorry, guys. So this is a twin size cover for a twin size bed. Hopefully you can see all of that. Sorry guys, this is definitely not the easiest thing to show. It's really big, and I took pictures of it and it's posted on my Ravelry page, but I don't think the pictures do it justice. I don't think the pictures are as pretty as the yarn is in person. I think the yarn in person is just so beautiful. So I'm going to use it on the twin bed that is in this room. I'm nodding to the bed behind you guys where the camera's set up. Yeah, so it's long enough to cover a twin size bed, and it hangs down a little bit on the sides. So I just think it's going to be so pretty, probably mostly for spring and summer, but maybe all year round. Very happy to have this done. So fingering weight blanket, I used the pattern Granny Stripes by Lucy of Attic 24. I had not had a Ravelry project page for this. Maybe I will just stay like this. This is rather cozy. This is kind of cozy now. I really feel like I'm just cozying up chatting with you guys. So I did not have a project page, but to the best of my recollection, I started it either in 2017 or 2018. And I put 2018 just because I wasn't sure. But I started this, Amy of Noble Character Crafts had hosted a mini skein exchange in her podcast group way back then. And I started the blanket with those minis. So some of those minis that you see at the bottom there were from, yeah, my first swap that I participated in. And yeah, it's just been an ongoing project. I haven't worked on it very much. Mostly it has been with magic knot balls. That's where I have taken leftovers or 10-gram mini skeins and knotted it together using the Crazy Sock Ladies magic knot ball tutorial, a very good tutorial. And the stripes are not super cohesive. Some of them might have 2 or even 3 rows. Some of them might only have a half a row. So I wasn't super rigid in making only one stripe in one color. So it's definitely very very scrappy looking, but I really am excited to have this done. So I I talked about in December that I had 4 blanket WIPs that I wanted to work on, and I was going to concentrate on this one because it was the closest to being done, and I really didn't realize how close it was to being done, but I did it, and I'm really excited to have my crochet granny stripe blanket complete. This feels like a big deal. So so I will be sharing which blanket project I am working on next in a little while. So that is my last finished object for today. How many of you have made a granny stripe blanket? I kind of want to start another one. I kind of want to do one with pink yarns. So that could be fun. But, you know, you've got other blankets, Carla, so you should probably work on some of those blankets first. But I think, you know, maybe making a magic knot ball with some of my leftover pink yarns, you know, especially ones that are really like less than 10 grams would be really fun to have that magic knot ball and just be ready to go at some point. So, all right, going on into WIPs or works in progress. One more thing. This was before WIPs. This was a finished object last time, but I wanted to share. I did put a pom-pom. I had ordered a burgundy, it's kind of a burgundy or I don't know, mulberry plummy color pom-pom on, and it has ties, and so I tied it on through a button in the top, but I really like how this turned out. Isn't that pom-pom fun? This pattern is by Darcy of Chit Chat Knits, and it is the Hermione Toad's Everyday hat. Again, I think she did a collaboration with Toad Hollow Yarns. And I used Outlander, colorway is Outlander, and it was a Madeline Tosh sock yarn, but held double for a DK weight. So I just wanted to share it with that fun pom-pom on there. All right, for real now, into works in progress. All right, so I decided to cast some socks on since I finished, you know, those sports socks. So I was kind of anxious to pick up a fingering weight sock or start a fingering weight sock. So I actually started two pairs. But the first, oops, that wasn't the one I wanted to show. The first is in this adorable bag by Barley Pearls on Etsy. It's a Little Women themed bag, and I really love the story of Little Women. And I've talked about that a little bit on the show before, but just a sweet, sweet bag. But in here, I don't know if you can see my self-striping self-striping yarn shelf. I have one whole shelf on the upper level that is all, or the top shelf that is all self-striping yarn. So I figured it was time to pick one from there. I really need to make a dent in my sock yarn. So this is by Desert Vista Dye Works, and this is in the Zom Piglet colorway, so Piglet. And here it is. So this is a fingering weight sock, just doing my, you know, regular sock pattern, you know, just a vanilla sock pattern, 2x2 ribbing for 20 rounds. I think I did 50 rounds, 50 rounds before the heel flap and gusset, and I have completed the decreases to get back down to my original stitch count. So now I call this maintenance knitting. You can just knit down the foot. So this is really good for TV watching or knit group knitting or throwing in my purse and taking along to work in case a student doesn't show up, knitting. Or when I have a break at work, put a few rounds on. So I just love this colorway, and you know, you really can't tell how something is going to work up from the cake. I mean, you just really can't tell that you know, would be a self-striping. And so many of my self-striping yarns, I mean, just look like that up there. So, I mean, I know what they're supposed to look like because I've seen the colorways before, but this is just so pretty. I just love those pinks you know, light pink and mauve, and then those speckles in there. And this is very deep old stash. So really excited to be working on that. It's so funny. I had started working on this, and then on Instagram I saw somebody else post much farther along, but they were also using this yarn. So I thought that was funny that it's yarn that I've had in my stash for so long, and then somebody else was working on that sock too. But that is my first sock work in progress. And then my second one I will share. My friend Colleen, she is TW Quilter on Instagram, and she has a podcast, I believe, All the Stitches, and she posted on Instagram, and she's talked about it on her podcast, that she has a lot of sock yarn, so she would like to work through her sock yarn this year. And I have a lot of her Christmas sock yarn, and I would like to work through some of my Christmas sock yarn too. There's just too many things I want to work on. But I decided I would pull out a skein of Christmas yarn to work on, you know, because I thought it would be fun to work on it now. And this yarn really does not scream Christmas at all. I told Colleen it's much more springy in colors. So pale pinks, greens, there's really pale yellows occasionally in there. This definitely reminds me of the pastel buttermints. Very, very pretty. Very pretty. Yeah, my aunt Sylvie and Aunt Evelyn, when they would come to our house, or parties that they would have, little luncheon parties or supper parties, they would you know, have a little cup with those pastel mints and some, you know, peanuts in there. So this color definitely reminded me of that, but it is a Christmas colorway. It is by Sassy Strings Yarn Studio, and it's called Mistletoe Magic, right? And the color photo inspiration was just beautiful pastel, you know, colors at Christmas time. It was a Christmas photo with beautiful pastel colors. This maybe was two years ago I got, before Christmas, maybe 3 years ago, I don't really remember. And so this has been sitting in my stash, and I've certainly looked at it around Christmas time, or, you know, when I'm thinking about casting on socks, but I think it was just, you know, it didn't scream Christmas to me. So I thought, well, this is perfect because we will be going into spring here, and this will be fun to work on. So I am working on a lace pattern for this one. This is the Christmas at Bridgerton sock pattern. I did not write that down. I want to say twin set and pearl. I will have a link to it in the description box down below. But Bridgerton, you know, is a period drama show. Not really a drama. Well, maybe it is. It's a historical romantic show on Netflix. What would you call it? Is it a period drama? Kind of. Well, some of you probably have watched Bridgerton. I really do like that show quite a bit. But it's very lacy, very, very feminine, very fitting, you know, for the show, I think. And I just thought that would be, you know, highlighted really nicely on this pale pastel yarn. So I really like how this is working up. I did the cuff a little differently. It had called for a, it's a knit 2 purl 2, but the knit was supposed to be 2 knits through the back loop. And I was like, I did so much twisted ribbing on my, my shawl that I showed last time. I was like, no, I'm just going to do my regular knit 2 purl 2, for the ribbing. And it was a little shorter. I think I just did 15 rounds instead of my normal 20, or maybe it was 12. But that's the progress so far. It's a 6-row repeat, and the front is like full lace, and then the back, I don't know if I showed the back yet, has just a little lace detail that goes down the center of the back of your leg. So just really, really lovely and pretty. So really fun if you like lace. I do have to It's not hard lace, but I do have to pay attention. I just kind of keep moving my, I have it on a magnetic clipboard that I just keep moving it down, because there's a chart, or there's written instructions for the front of the leg, and then there's written instructions for the back of the leg of the sock. So, and I've been, you know, knitting this mostly at nighttime when my brain isn't that good. So I'm actually very lucky that the lace has turned out, because that's just not my best time of the day. But really excited to be working on this and working with some Christmas yarn. So if you have Christmas yarn and would like to join in, she's hosting it on Instagram for fun. The hashtag is Christmas Sock Along 2023. I'm curious, do you guys have a lot of Christmas yarns in your stash? I do, and this one definitely didn't scream Christmas, and some of them don't necessarily scream Christmas, which I think is really fun to work on then throughout the year. Yeah, so I keep looking at my yarn shelf, and I think it keeps expanding, you know. I have gotten some new yarn, but I just don't feel like I've gotten that much new yarn, especially in the sock yarn category. But my shelves, I think I just need to go through. I think I've said this on several episodes, that I need to go through and clean the shelves, because they're just, yeah, they just are really full looking. And to be honest, it kind of bugs me that they're that full. And this is stash from a couple of years ago, so really excited to be using that. So I'm working through stash too. I can buy yarn faster than I can work through it, than I can knit it, and that's the truth for all of us, I am sure. All right, another work in progress is something that I just started this week. I don't have very much progress on it, but I told you I was kind of craving something else crochet after finishing this. So this is a good project. It's also my Sit with Reese's After Dinner project. So this is, let's see, I don't know which side is the right side. It probably doesn't matter. This is the diagonal dishcloth. Let's see, it's by Ananda Judkins. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, so crochet pattern. The yarn that I'm using, really soft. It's a Hobby Lobby yarn. Here's the color, or here's the skein of yarn. So it's I Love This Cotton, and I love the name. It is Serene Spa. So isn't that fun? Serene Spa for the colorway. So I had picked this up. I was at Hobby Lobby a few weekends ago, and I picked this up and another skein of speckled yarn in the I Love This Cotton, and I'm going to make some dishcloths, like a dishcloth set for my sister Laura for her birthday. And I found like a dish towel that has these colors, and I found a spatula that has some of, you know, the colors and the speckles. So I thought that would just be a really fun set to make. So a really easy project. I am ready to do the decreases down the other side. Yeah, I just really like how these dishcloths feel. They just feel like they would be nice and scrubby, that they would work really well. I probably should make some for myself to see if that's true, but it's a fun texture. And you know, I am kind of missing knitting the dishcloths by the kitchen sink shop, but I'm printing them off each month, so I will have them. But really fun to also just do a crochet dishcloth, because it goes really, really fast. So again, that's my Reese's project at night after dinner. So just started a couple nights ago. My last work in progress is my Love Note sweater, again for the KAL that I am co-hosting with Britnee. And I started this last Sunday. In the last episode, I had talked about I was maybe hadn't worked on the sweater because I wasn't sure about the provisional cast on. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And lots of you commented, you know, yeah, you can go into the ribbing, or, you know, maybe it's a good idea to do the provisional cast on, because if you do the neckline, then the weight of the sweater can pull on that ribbing. I decided to trust the pattern. So the Love Note is a sweater pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I decided to do the provisional cast on. So I did a crochet provisional cast on, and they didn't give an instruction in their pattern for what cast on to use. So I just used one where you crochet right onto your knitting needle, and then I went on from there. So I feel like I have made really good progress since last week, Sunday. So we're looking at a week, yeah, a week today. Today's, did I say Saturday? So yeah, hopefully you can see that beautiful lace in there. Yeah, I think the color is going to be really pretty. I am using Sweet Tea yarns in the Eggnog colorway, and this mohair is by Sorella Yarns. It was double scoop from her birthday collection. So those are the yarns I am using. I will tell you I am concerned because I have 2 of each. So this is my first, but I mean, I have made good progress, and I still have, you know, a bit left here, but I only have 1 more skein of each. So that has to make enough length and the neckline, and, you know, probably it might turn out to be short sleeves. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I saw this yarn first. This was a D-stash on Etsy, and I think only 2 skeins were available, but I loved the color, so I got it. You know, had there been 3, I probably would have bought 3. Yeah, I probably would have bought 3 just to be on the safe side. But I'm very certain that I can get, you know, a short sleeve sweater at least. Now, how practical is a short sleeve mohair sweater? I don't know. I probably would like it to be longer sleeves, but I really don't know, you know, how much. I just have to wait and see, knitting through this, how much I'm going to use for the body. But really, really pretty. Yeah, I am very, very happy with how this is knitting up. Yeah, so I hope you can see the beautiful, there's some speckles popping out there, but I think it's a really nice combination of the mohair and the yarn paired together. You know, I never know exactly how it's going to work up, but I think it's turning out lovely, and it's, you know, it's a Carla pink, so really, really excited with that. So that's 1 week on my sweater. So yeah, really happy with the progress on that. One more thing I would like to share. Since I finished my crochet granny stripe blanket, I thought to myself, okay, now I have 3 other blankets to work on. I have my Cozy Memories blanket, which is the mitered square. I have a blanket that I'm going to finish that Jeff's grandma started. And then I have my Advent blanket that I started in December. I decided to take out my Cozy Memories blanket, and I decided I'm going to try to do 30 minutes a day on it. I gotta set some stuff down, excuse me. 30 minutes a day on this blanket. So that is what I've been doing this week. And these squares, you know, I am not a fast knitter, so these squares do take time. So, and I did spend a little bit more time on one of these this week, and I don't remember what day I started, but each square takes a little bit over an hour for me to knit. That's what I figured out. So I just set my timer on my on my phone for a half hour, and I tell myself I'm not gonna knit and stop and look at Instagram or scroll or anything. I'm gonna see, you know, what I can get done in a half hour. So that's definitely the way to go. When you stop and interrupt yourself with Instagram looking or checking your email, or yeah, that just eats into your time. So I have completed I have completed 3 and a partial. So this square, this square, this square, and then currently on this rainbow type. But let me hold this up so you can kind of get an idea. So it's not very big. It certainly could be a baby blanket size already. And I think I would like it to be a throw size. So I am going to continue working on this blanket for a while. I don't know if I'm going to do 30 minutes a day, like for every day for the rest of the year, or if I'm going to concentrate on it for, you know, the next month or two. I haven't really decided, but I would definitely like to give this one some attention, because I don't think I have picked this up in a couple of years. And I can't remember exactly when I started this one either. I can't remember. So those miter squares, they do take some time. Actually picking up the stitches, that's kind of time consuming, but it's okay. I'm excited to work on this. It's very scrappy, very patchworky. You know, lots of these yarns are from projects that I have made, so it's always fun to look back on them. Some might just be random minis throughout, but quite a few of them are projects that I have made, so that's kind of special. Like the one I am currently working on is a pair of socks that I made last year, and I think I can't remember who, or maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember who the dyer is. It was a Canadian dyer. And this was from that Christmas cowl that I knit a couple summers ago during one of our Christmases in July. It was that colorwork cowl with like 5 different Christmas mini skeins. So that was from there, and I think the red was from there. So it's really fun to look back on these. So that is the blanket project that I am working on. I decided, rather than putting it away, I am going to keep it inside, you know, this little box. So this is just one of those, you know, collapsible little cubes I got at Walmart, and I have, you know, some of the yarns that I'm going to add to it right now. I've got a lot more than this in a dresser drawer over there. But I just pulled out some that I'm going to use right now, and I'm keeping this in the living room. It's under the table by the side of the couch where I always knit. So we have our couch and then a little side table, and it fits underneath the table. Jeff saw it yesterday. He's like, "Oh, are you going to keep your knitting projects in there?" I said, "Oh, just one, just my blanket project." So, you know, our coffee table has my other projects on. I'm not the tidiest knitter, and I like to have my projects nearby because I never know which project I'm going to knit on. So I usually have 3 or 4 projects out in the living room with me. One is usually sitting on the couch, one might be on the table by the couch, or yeah, the little table by the couch, and a couple are on the coffee table, because you just never know when the mood's gonna strike. So but coziest memory, that is a pattern by Kemper Ray, and excited to be working on that again. And it's nice to to give that some attention right now. All right, I think, oh, I do have one more thing to share if I can dig through my stuff over here. Oh, it fell. On the podcast last time, I shared that I was have been trying to do some drop spindle spinning and was not having much luck. So I did meet with my friend Jane. She lives in Lincoln, and she was a part of our knitting group for many years, and she is, I would call her a master spinner. She does drop spindle. She does, you know, she has spinning wheels. She's a knitter. She's a weaver. So very much a fiber artist. So I met with Jane last week, Friday. We met at a library in Lincoln, and I guess I was doing things right. You know, I just needed someone maybe to guide me and answer a few questions. So here, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see, and I also have to thank my friend Joanne, who I'm borrowing her drop spindle from. So here is my progress so far. It's not a lot, but I am sure proud of it. This is some beautiful fiber that I picked up from Etsy a number of years ago. I had very natural color, like some cream and some grays that I had kept trying to spin, that I had taken a class many years ago, and I was just tired of looking at that. So I had wanted something pretty. So this, you know, this is definitely stashed from a while ago. This fiber is by, it's, I would say Busy Bee, but it's Beesyb, BZB Fibers on Etsy. And I think they also have their own website. And it was in the Stormy Clouds colorway, but these beautiful deep pinks and plums and mossy greens in there. I just thought this was such pretty fiber. So I haven't had a lot of time. I haven't put in a lot of time, but I did work on it a couple hours with Jane last week. And I worked on it just a little bit this week also. So we're going to go into chatter now, but that is my foray into spinning. But the reason I had some spinning time during the week this week is that we got snow, and we had a snow day on Thursday this week. So that was really exciting. So I'm very grateful for the amount of snow we've had this year. It hasn't been lots by any stretch of the imagination, but this was several inches, probably 5 to 6 inches this time for us. And it was enough to give us a snow day. So it was really fun to sit inside and, you know, watch the snow blowing around outside, because it was really windy that day too. So I do love winter, and I love seeing the snow. So that was really fun this week. So other than that, just really busy with work and with teaching. Jenna has been busy with show choir competition, so we've been going to some of those. Jeff has actually gone to see her today. She's at a show choir competition today. I'm going to be leaving later to go to church. I play the organ. I'm a church organist, for those of you who don't know that. And I have 3 services this weekend. And I will say something. One of my friends who watches this podcast, Amy, she said, "Oh, it must be a big church that you play for 3 church services." These are actually really small churches. The pastor is a pastor for 2 parishes. And one of the churches is in the city. It's called David City. I think their population is under 3,000. And then the other is a church out on the country. It's out on a dirt road. And that's called Rising City, which is funny. I've never been to the town of Rising City, but the church sits out on it's an old church that sits out on a dirt country road. And he is the pastor for both, and I help out playing there. So I have 1 service on Saturday nights, and then I have 2 on Sunday, 1 at the church in the country and 1 at the church in town. I get a kick out of it being called David City, just because it's not a city by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that's fun. And I have a brother, David, so it always makes me think of him too. So busy with practicing for that. Yeah, so that's what we've got on tap this weekend. No news to report yet on the job front, so I certainly will share it when I am able to, but it is still something that is on on the back burner at this point in time. So I think that is all for today. I am so happy that I got to sit down this afternoon and chat with you all. Some of you I have gotten to see on Zoom knitting, so I'm really happy about that. If you would ever like to participate in a Zoom knit, you can drop me a message either on Instagram or Ravelry. If you have let me know in the past, you might want to shoot me a message again. But I do post in it's one of the threads on Ravelry. I probably should just make it its own single thread, but it's the Love Your Stash chatter thread, because I think most people look at that. But I post it there, you know, when I'm going to do a Zoom knitting meetup. And then I do share the link with some people who told me, you know, before I send it directly to them. But if that's something that you're interested in, you know, please do let me know. I certainly can't do it as frequently or meet with you as often as I would like. I would love to do it every day. I would love to meet with knitting friends every day. That would just be wonderful. But you gotta do, you know, you gotta do a job, and you have to take care of laundry and cooking and cleaning and all that sort of stuff. So, but if you'd like to know when we're going to do one, just let me know that, or keep an eye out in that thread on Ravelry. So with that, I think that is all for today. Thank you so much for sharing some time with me today. I appreciate you watching this. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you already haven't. I hope that you are enjoying your knitting, crocheting, whatever projects bring you joy. And with that, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you in a few weeks.